War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host, C Dub. Today we'll be discussing Auburn's early exit from the SEC tournament and what that means for Auburn moving ahead in the NCAA tournament. Also, spring football is almost here. We'll talk about that as well as Auburn's Pro Day this week. So you guys want to hang around for that. Now, sit back, get your weight up because your weekend tailgate begins now.
You are now listening to a War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by University Ace Hardware. It's your boy, I Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, happy Sunday to each and every one of you guys. I'm joined by Mike and Ike. B. Will is out today, but we are joined by the greatest fan base in the land, the Auburn family, the War Report family. Thanks for tuning in to the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by our good friends at University Ace Hardware. For your hardware needs, Ace is the place for you. And if you're ever in the Auburn area, please be sure to stop by 2101 East University Drive. Drop in and let them know that your friends from the War Report sent you there. Also, guys, if you're watching live or on replay, do us a favor. If you're on social media, please be sure to share this video on your social medias, Facebook, Twitter, using hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. Help people to find us, help us grow our community. Now, speaking of community, you need to become a patron. Mike G's here to tell you all about it. Mike?
Hey, listen, become a patron. $5.99 a month. Head on over to our YouTube page, hit that join button, become a part of our community. Now, you guys know Ike has been doing these basketball breakdowns, patron-only content. But other than the content that we put behind our paywall, this is just a great way to get on board and help us continue to grow so we can bring you guys more content. January to July, hardest working content creators out here bringing you guys more Auburn football, more Auburn basketball, more Auburn everything. So become a patron, help us continue to grow, and become part of one of the greatest Auburn communities on the interwebs. Guys, we're partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to raise money for a great cause. So help us help them. Hashtag save all the puppies by going to the About section of our YouTube channel. Click the donate button, and 50 cents on every dollar donated will go to the Lee County Humane Society to help them. Hashtag save all the puppies. This is a good we've chosen to put back into the world. We appreciate you guys who have been doing this. We've been running this fundraiser for as long as we've been live, so we appreciate the support, as does the Lee County Humane Society. We are giving away an AAU t-shirt. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. That's our guy, Walt Taylor. Check him out at gwt2energy.com. But hashtag get your weight up in the comments to enter this. You got to be present at the 1 hour mark if you want to win. So a little something we like to do to give back as a thank you for you guys joining our live stream every Wednesday night and Sunday afternoon, which is where we are right now. So hashtag get your weight up, get your spelling up, make sure that you it's spelt right so you can get in there, and we'll pull at the 1 hour mark. Guys, we're on podcast. We're on every single podcast platform. We're doing some work here. So this is an area of the War Report is continuing to evolve, but we are now bringing you podcast exclusive content. So there are some things that you can extra discussion, extra engagement that you can only get via podcast. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast at. That's where we're going to be. You can, and then watch out for some new things happening in this arena. We're working hard to bring you guys even more content deliverable via podcast, which I know is easier for a lot of you guys in the car or while you're doing chores or, washing the dishes or vacuuming the house. However you listen to your podcast, the War Report is trying to make it easier for you guys. So thank you for your support there. I want to give a shout out to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is one of our great sponsors. You can go to prizepicks.com, sign up, use code RAPPORT so they know you came over from the War Report. We've told you guys a lot if you want to support us, support our sponsors. These people give us money every month, and your support of them helps keep them on board with us, which helps keep us viable. So we appreciate everybody who's going over to do that. And now I want to highlight this as a last kind of point here. Our interview with Tj Finley is live. I encourage everybody. Spring practice starts tomorrow, and as you guys know, quarterback battle is going to be front and center. We have interviews up with Tj Finley and Robbie Ashford. I highly suggest you go watch these interviews if you have not seen it already. Tj took the time to sit down and talk with us a little bit about what he's going through this spring, how he's grown from last summer to this spring, and what Auburn is doing to prepare to have a great season. So they've got a lot of work to do this offseason. Tj Finley sat down with us to talk about it. And you should go check that interview out. Drop a comment. We'll chop it up with you guys in the comments over there. Appreciate Tj Finley for taking some time to talk to the War Report. We've got more interviews coming for you guys, but go check out Tj on our channel.
Appreciate that, Mike G. And Ike is in a pretty different spot. Ike, where are you, sir?
I am in Tampa. I'm in Tampa right now, man. I stuck around down here to heckle the fans of other teams that lost as well, so they can join me on the couch and watch their teams not play for the SEC championship. So yeah, I'm still down here.
Yeah, about that. Let's go ahead and get into what happened on Friday.
Yikes.
It wasn't a good Friday for Auburn fans. A bit surprising. Auburn got bounced from the quarterfinal round against Texas A&M in very surprising fashion. Auburn in that game actually ended up shooting 30% or making 30% of its field goal attempts. A&M actually made 43%. And actually, this is the stat that pretty much was the difference in the game, because a lot of the other stats were pretty even in the game. Auburn made 25% of its three-point attempts. They made 9 of 36. A&M made 50% of their three-point shots, 8 of 16. And for the past 10 games, Auburn has now gone 6-4 after starting the season red hot at 21-1. Bruce Pearl talked a lot about A&M strategy, and it seems like there appears to be a blueprint moving forward. A&M pretty much attempted to stifle Auburn in the interior with double teams, switching up on guys, really trying to force Auburn to make shots from the perimeter. Ike, is this pretty much how Auburn should anticipate other teams defending us moving forward? And what does Auburn do to combat that?
Yeah, I mean, until you prove you can hit outside shots, teams are just going to give them to you. Like, they were just conceding the fact that, okay, you guys aren't going to make it, so here, have at it, fire away. I think the only way that we're going to have to be able to combat that is the offense is going to have to be more dependent on ball movement and less dependent on it's a very pick and roll friendly offense, right? We run flex. I was actually talking about this with somebody after the game. We run flex, but we don't run it past maybe the second or third pass in it. It's usually point guard swings it to the big man. The big man is either going to hit the cutter or he's going to get it to the, either reverse it back around the other way. But after that point, we kind of stop moving and we don't really get more movement, player movement, ball movement. You're going to have to move the ball more rapidly to get yourself better shots. Because if it's all dependent on you beating somebody off the dribble or a ball screen, then you're going to allow that defense to what Texas A&M did was just, we're going to build this wall and dare you to try to get down inside. Forcing the ball to the paint, like a lot of people suggest, like, oh, you got to feed the paint. You got to feed the paint. Texas A&M was like, no, you're not feeding the paint, period. Like, right. We're just going to pack everybody down here. If you're going to get the ball to those big men, they're going to have to shoot over the top of 2 and 3 people. So we're going to have to be a little bit more creative with the ways that we're deciding to get shots that are closer to the paint. There are some sets that we run that I think will be things that we can do, but we just have to do a better job of it.
Super chat by Walt. Appreciate you, Walt, for watching with us. Appreciate you for being a supporter. Walt asks, our guards need to get the ball, or he says our guards need to get the ball out of their hands faster to start good ball movement, then inside to the bigs with good position. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah, that's essentially what I'm saying, man. It's like it can't be dribble penetration when they're going to wall up like that. It has to be, the ball has to move fast. So you've got to figure out how to get sets that allow you to move the ball quickly and then get early offense, either with, good position in the post and then make them react to that, or because you're setting such good off ball screens and such like that, that you can get them the ball in a good position to get a quick shot up before the double teams can come, before the defense can react. But if you're going to just try to post a guy up and have the defense entrenched against it, once you dump it down to him, there's 3 guys there, and they're just not allowing that person to move liberally. And it's just not going to be a good scenario. So yeah, it's going to take them actually running the offense and not playing kind of this pickup game style that we've grown accustomed to seeing them do.
Mike G, my question for you, and we'll discuss guard play specifically later on. All right, so I definitely want to talk about that. But Auburn shot the 3 ball 36 times in this game. I think that's the most they've shot the 3 this season. 3 of Auburn's 5 losses this season have come from when we've shot the 3 more than 30 times in a game. Are we settling for too many 3s in this game, in your opinion? And are there easier mid-range shots that we should be trying to get if we can't get into the interior?
I think Texas A&M just defended us really well. That's what they were giving us.
Yeah,
we took them. We weren't making them. It's a great defensive game plan statistically to have against Auburn. We have not shot the 3 ball at a high clip or consistently. And when we are making those shots, Auburn is almost unstoppable. If we're not making those shots, we're a very beatable basketball team. That's what it boils down to. Now, our defense will always keep us in it. And you saw what happened down the stretch once Wendell Green got hot and started nailing 3s. Things start to open up, lobs start to open up. It just took all game for him to find his range. And even then, some of the shots that he was hitting, they're not shots like, these like 35 footers, man, are not shots that you are taking in the regular flow of the game. So I was happy to see him hit those shots. But if we've got to count on those type of shots down the stretch, we're going to be in big time trouble. So I thought that the shots were reasonable based on how they were defending us.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us a lot of 3s. We took a lot of them. Now, maybe we took a few too many. It was a lot of 3s we took in that game. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can go back and look. I just remember thinking like, wow, like we took a lot of 3s in that game. But I just, it's tough. It's tough when you look at it. We're not a great shooting team. The identity of this team is defense, not offense. And that worries a lot of people if you're not putting up a lot of points. I just don't know if you feel better about losing a game 100-95 or 67-62. I would feel worse about letting a team loose for 100 points.
Sure.
Personally, I would. Because when we have shot well, we've beaten teams by double digits easily. Because our defense has been consistent throughout this. So the 3-point shooting was shocking. We took 36 3s in this game. Wow. We hit 25% of them. We hit 9. We had 9 3s out of 36. But a lot of those were down the stretch. So up until the final few minutes, this was a historically bad shooting performance that we pulled the percentages up to 30% down the stretch, but we were in the mid-20s in terms of overall field goal percentage for a good portion of that game. This was a historically bad performance. Now, of those 36 3s, KD Johnson took 6 of them. And I don't think I need to repeat the stat for anybody, but I will. 0 for 14, man. He hit any. He didn't hit any. We just did not, outside of Wendell down the stretch, Kessler and Jabari, there was no offense to be had Jasper had a disappointing shooting night, 2 of 8, 1 of 4 from 3. Jalen Williams scored 2 points on 1 of 2 shooting.
He was the only other guy off the. Was he the only other guy off the bench, or did Cardwell score?
Cardwell did not score.
Yeah, Jalen Williams was the only person other than Wendell off the bench
to score. Right. Yeah. Cambridge did not score. Chris Moore played 2 minutes, did not score. We played one of the worst games we could have played offensively and lost by 5 points. So I still believe this team has the ability to get hot in the tournament. But, ultimately it's just make open shots. That's what it comes down to. This isn't some mystery, right? Make open shots. If they're going to give you a wide open threes, you need to hit them at about a 35 to 39% clip to keep defensives honest. If you're going to be if you're going to be 25% from 3, but then take 36 threes, that's not a winning formula.
Right.
Just got to hit those shots. I don't think we were taking bad shots. I think the shots were there because that's what they were giving us. The defense was interesting. And, as we speak right now, Texas A&M is taking on Tennessee. And kudos to Texas A&M. That can't be understated. Like, they played – they have played out of their minds this tournament. Yeah. And if they end up winning, they're down by 5 right now. But if they end up winning this whole thing –
that's my what did we see?
Yeah, like, wow. So,
yeah. Yes, a great game plan. And I think it's one of the reasons people would not defend the 2019 team like this, because that was just basically surrendering to our greatest strength. But our strength this year isn't the 3-point shot. It's defense, it's the interior, it's rebounding, it's those types of it's the effort. With this team, this is kind of how teams are starting to defend us. And it's kind of frustrating when we aren't able to take what the defense gives us offensively. And I think that's something that they have to kind of revisit and see how can we take advantage of those open shots, because there wasn't 4 shots.
And that's the thing that I want to say, man, is that I understand everybody's like, oh, we have to stop shooting threes. We got to stop chucking up shots. If you want a team to take what the defense gives you, they're giving you open shots that you're capable of making. Like, you want people to pass up open shots essentially in that scenario. Right. And I understand wanting to get better shots in the flow of the offense. Can we create different types of shots? Texas A&M literally was saying, I'm not giving you anything else but this, and daring you to take the shot. The best that you can hope that guy does, which Wendell, I'm looking forward to going and watching the film of this and breaking this down and looking at it as we get into this. Wendell was actually earlier in the game, he was trying to not take the threes that they were giving him. He was trying to run off of that and get into something else and try to find a better shot. Just, it weren't falling, man. Like, I don't know what else you want somebody to do other than take a wide open shot. Yeah. There weren't a lot of forced up bad shots in this game. There were just a lot of people missing shots.
Right. Talk about Walt's question here.
Hey, Walt.
Says, am I wrong, or the other teams putting bigger guys on our guards and quick to double team them once they cross the timeline so they can't throw over? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, there are a lot of high traps happening. They're just trying to put some pressure on the guards to make good decisions with the basketball early in the shot clock. And we have not, outside Zep doesn't turn the ball over. He's not, he's been one of the best hands. So he only had 1 turnover in this game, but they forced KD Johnson into 3 turnovers. Flanagan had a turnover. Jabari had 1. Wendell had 5 turnovers in this game. And so, when you have a 2-possession game, those 1 or 2 turnovers can matter coming down the stretch, especially when you're not particularly a good scoring basketball team, the way Auburn is playing right now. So, I've seen some of what Walt's talking about, right? Like, it's just attack, and try to force us into a stale half-court offense Don't let Auburn get out in transition and get easy buckets.
For sure.
And it becomes harder for us. It really does become harder for us. Our identity is just not offense. It's not what we're great at. But we do have the ability to get hot. We just have to get the ball to the right players to do that.
And I think it helps too playing good defense too, because that is what has helped create a lot of our offense. Is good defense and grabbing boards and starting transition. But if you can slow the game down for Auburn and force us to where we have to get into our sets, or even kind of throw off our timing in the half court offense, that's kind of been a bugaboo for us offensively at times. Harvey, welcome back, sir. Lisa Wise. Guys, your thoughts on Bruce never using a timeout when we have those long scoreless periods in games? What say you? Again, this is almost kind of you got to take the good with the bad, because he lets these kids play. And I do agree at times I would like to see a timeout when we're clearly struggling, but it's almost kind of like when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's bad. But what are you guys' thoughts?
I was waiting for this super chat to make this point. A huge concern for me with this team is late game situational awareness and execution.
Yeah.
Guys, he's brought up the timeout thing, Lisa, before. Like he said, I should have used a timeout here against Florida at the end of the game, where, again, they defended. They didn't do what they thought they were going to do defensively against them, and he should have called a timeout. And this is one of the coach's biggest responsibilities in any sport. Now, you guys know
against South Carolina, right?
Yeah,
did he do that in the first half? He called a timeout, and we set up a play to end the half.
Yeah, like I just thought. You guys know I held Brian Harson's feet to the fire last season over timeout management. Where, like, hey, coach, do you think that you use those timeouts in the best way possible? And those pressers, his response to me, at the time, I know it's hard right after the game to assess something like that, but he felt like he did. And I think that when they go back and looked at it after in the offseason, he might say, maybe we could have done some things differently there. So there's some learnings. Bruce Pearl seems hyper aware of that in season. So there are some things like, where with your timeouts down the stretch, we could have just maybe broke their momentum and reset and try to do some things differently. I think this continues to be an area where our coach needs to grow and improve is timeout management, and by his own admission. So
let me ask you guys this question. Since Mike kind of already brought him up, we understand how important KD is to this team. The emotion, the passion he brings, players feed off of it, fans feed off of it. How does Auburn manage KD when he's having a game? How should Auburn manage KD when he's having a game like the one he had on Friday?
I don't want to hear Ike talk on this. I have my thoughts. Thoughts on this.
I think it depends on what game and how the game is flowing, how you manage KD. B. Will and I had a little back and forth about this a couple of games ago in regards to KD as to whether or not Berman should be getting more minutes in that game because KD was struggling offensively, turning the ball over a lot in that game. I think this was the Mississippi State game where we had all the airmail passes, and KD had a couple of them that landed in the first couple of rows over a guy's head. But the thing with KD is that he is more of a threat off of the dribble than a Berman is, right? Berman's more of a catch and shoot guy, and he's a threat to at least make your spacing a little bit better. I think Berman probably would have benefited us more against the Texas A&M because our issue against Texas A&M wasn't like the inability to penetrate against pressure. Our issue with Texas A&M wasn't even necessarily our ability to defend. Like they were just hitting that Texas A&M hit shots like you can't defend it much better, or Radford just didn't miss from three, right? Like he was just uncharacteristically good that game, right?
Right.
Berman doesn't hurt you in that scenario. He does help to stretch the floor a little bit. And I do think that we could have employed him a little bit more in this game specifically. So I think it's just a situation of understanding that in certain scenarios, who are the personnel that allow you to do the things you need to do offensively. You have more room for your pick and roll game to work if you have more shooters to spread the floor out, right? And I think Berman would have benefited us in this one. But more specifically to the point of when KD's just not making shots, you kind of have to meter that with, is he contributing in other ways, specifically on the defensive end? Is he getting the ball pressure necessary? I don't know that KD was really effective at all in this game. And so I would have liked to see them go in a different direction because it was clear his frustration was making him continue to just force up looks in the paint. Like he was trying to do the whole go into there and get contact, and he just wasn't getting the call.
That's his game.
Yeah,
that's pretty much his game.
Now I will tell you this, only because of how we had to shoot down the stretch did Jabari Smith finish with more shots than KD. But outside of Jabari Smith, KD took more shots than everybody in that game, except for Coleman, the third on the other team, and Jabari. Jabari had 16 shots. Coleman had 15 shots. KD had 14 attempts. And just like, man, like, oh my God, if he has like a regular bad night, we win that game.
Yeah, listen, that's exactly my point about Lior Berman in that situation, is that if you take the 6 attempts that KD had from 3 and you give those to Berman, he makes 2 of those, we win that ball game, right? Like it's right. Literally that small of a difference in productivity on offense, because Berman he's going to make, if you give Berman 6 open looks from 3, he's going to hit 2 of those.
2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now does that like there is a causality to everything, so maybe defensively we give up.
Well, that's my point about like Texas A&M. They were literally making everything. Like I know that the shot percentages doesn't look like that, but I'm saying like we had possessions where we would force them within 2 or 3 seconds of the shot clock, and then they're making an open shot there. I don't know that KD Johnson impacts the game defensively in that game in particular in a way that Berman would have just been a liability, right? Like it was just it was a matter of they were making their open looks, we weren't making ours.
Right.
And if they're going to give you open looks, put a guy in who can make the open looks.
Yeah, I think if you're playing, Bruce alluded to the fact they were playing 4 out, 1 in because of how A&M was defending. That's Berman's game. Like that should be one of your 4 out, because he's going to catch the ball. He's not going to think about it. He's going to pull it. And again, to y'all's point, he makes at least 2 of those 6 shots. But yeah, Mike.
There's a comment here by a girl, Melissa Munn. Melissa is one of my Twitter buddies. Follow her on Twitter. But she says, according to the shot metrics, we win that game 77% of the time with the shot selection we made. They just did not fall. That was my whole point. Like I know everybody hates to hear this because they're like, well, if they're not going, you have to do something else. What do you suggest that you do when Texas A&M is literally just dropping everybody back into the paint? The only thing that you have, again, ball movement's the only way to fix that, right? Like you get into your sets early and you have to move the ball rapidly. Rapid player and ball movement is how that's going to work. But it wasn't, they were open shots. Like, again, it's not like they were taking bad shots or they're being forced into poor look. They were wide open looks. You just got to make them.
And I guess that was my question is, moving forward, is this how teams defend Auburn? And what does Auburn have to do going into the tournament, knowing you got to make your shots, buddy?
Yeah, 100%. They have to. We again, I think you have to experiment with some of the lineups. I don't know. I have to go back and look at the chart on it, but I don't know whether or not we went to the 3-guard lineup in this game until late in the game again. I think that might have been something that would have been helpful for us to be a little bit more quick to the ball, because a lot of it was quickness to the ball that we had an issue with. But I think we have to figure out how to be more patient with working our offense. Our offense is not complex, right? We run this flex scheme, and it's not a complex thing, but you have to work it a little bit more than what we do. Again, it's like 2 or 3 passes, and then it's like, okay, we'll spread it out. We're going to go into the pick and roll action because it's 12 seconds left on the clock. You can continue to work your offense, and there are more things that you can do in that flex that allows you to continue with your player and ball movement that can possibly get you better looks. And then you're going to force A&M to then go to, or whatever team, to go into some sort of zone, right? Because if they're going to play man, then player movement, ball movement is how you beat man, not one-on-one, because we don't have those kind of guys. So you've got to be more patient with your offense and working the ball around, get into those sets early, move the ball a little bit more, and hopefully you will pass up a good shot, which is what everybody's saying, pass up a good shot for a better shot, because we're going to keep with the offense and not go into this scrambling mode. But then secondarily, you've got to figure out how to get out in transition, right? Like you get good possessions, but you need more live ball turnovers so that you can get the run game going and get up and down the floor before people are able to set their defense.
Right.
And those are really the 2 things that if Auburn can do those things against teams that are just relentlessly saying, I'm just going to give up threes to you, go ahead, shoot it. Then we're going to be a much better team because we're going to score more points more efficiently.
Guys, we're at the halfway mark. Please be sure to get those thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Show us some love. Get the engagement up. We're going to pause to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Report.
The War Report's Weekend Tailgate Show is brought to you by our generous sponsors. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Hey, become a patron. $5.99 a month. This is a great way to support the War Report. We are growing, and this offseason, we're looking to grow as much as we can headed into the 2022 season, so we can bring you guys as much coverage as humanly possible. So January to July, hardest working content creators out here in these YouTube streets and the podcast streets and whatever streets you drive your car on. The War Report is there taking over stuff. So help us do that. $5.99. Join our community. Guys, also join us in helping support the Lee County Humane Society. 50 cents on every dollar donated goes to them to help them #save all the puppies. So get in on this. You can find the link to this fundraiser in the About section of our YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys for going over there to donate. We are giving away an AAU t-shirt. #get your weight up in the comment section. Put your name in once, twice, type it a bunch of times just to make sure you get in. Only one counts, but just in case the algorithm is jacked up for some reason. Lisa mentioned the other day, she was like, I never see my name go by. I agree, Lisa. It's bull. You deserve to see your name go by. Put that thing in there multiple times. Make sure that we catch it. But we love giving things away. #get your weight up, sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. That's our guy, Walt Taylor. Hadn't seen Walt in a while. Walt's been busy. Walt has been busy doing life stuff. And so I'm glad to see him here in the comments. He's been supporting us since the very beginning, since our humble beginnings last spring. Walt jumped in and said, I believe in these guys. They returned their shopping carts. I'm going to get behind them. Love you, Walt. So go check him out for any of your restaurant support needs. They do consulting services. They can make sure that you're maximizing your revenue on that side. So GWT2 Consulting Services. Love those guys. AU, get in. We're going to draw at the 1 hour mark. So you got to be here to win. You got to be here to win. If you do not win, you can just buy one. Go to thewarreport.com, click the hamburger icon in the top right, and then select catalog, and you'll see all of our merch. So you guys have been buying this up. I've been seeing double dribble t-shirts at the games, all kind of stuff. It's fun seeing the merch out there. This is a great way to support our content as well. So we appreciate you guys for doing that. Check us out on podcasts. We're on every single podcast platform, bringing you guys exclusive podcast content. So, guys, we're growing, and we got more announcements coming in the next 30 days. Stick with us. I promise you, hang with us at the War Report. We've got some exciting growth coming. Podcast is part of it. So there's some stuff that we do that you can only get on podcasts. Turn on those notifications on your Apple or your Amazon or whatever you listen to the podcast on, and watch out for more content coming to you guys. Our goal is to kind of get you guys something every day that you can listen to, whether it's on YouTube or on podcasts. Shout out to our title sponsor, University Ace Hardware. Go check them out at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama. We love our guy, David. He's been supporting us since before last season started. So they're great partners for us. Patron their business, guys. Go in if you're in the Auburn area and you got home improvement things going on. Ace is definitely the place. And last but not least, shout out to prizepicks.com. They are our fund sponsor. So if you want to get in on the games, if you haven't been seeing, Ike has been doing these like prize pick segments to help you guys. If, getting in on a little bit of having fun with some cash on sports is new to you, Prize Picks is a great place to do that and have a little fun and it not be so serious. So you don't have to be a serious person about this. You can just, hey, I think Jabari is going to score 16 points today. And put a little cash down and win a little money and have a little fun while rooting for Auburn. So we appreciate you guys for going over there and supporting them. Use code RAPPORT so they know you came from the War Report.
So I did not do a prize pick segment before the game, but I did put down a prize picks card for the War Report, and I won.
Really? Did you pick under on everything?
No, sorry. I had Jabari on the over for his rebounds. I had Walker Kessler on the over for points. I had Henry Coleman on the over for his rebounds. And I actually had Quentin Jackson on the under for points. And we were good until he made those last two free throws. Yep. So I 3 of the 4 were correct. And I had the flex play on. So, boom.
Well, sorry, someone just rolled by with a loud motorcycle. So anyway, before we switch gears to the gridiron and start talking football,
yes,
if you've been paying attention to the bracketologist, whether it's Palm or Lenardi, Auburn is staring down the barrel of a number 2 seed at this point. They mentioned, I think, some of the names for number 1 seeds, of course, Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, and now Baylor. My question to you guys, and I think this the irony of that after we pretty much blasted the Big 12 for not being as good as the SEC this year. We still believe that. My question to you fellas is, who really deserves that 4th number 1 seed?
That's interesting, right? Look at what happened down the stretch here. Everybody farted down the stretch. Everybody farted down the stretch just about. Gonzaga had they ended up winning their conference tournament, but it was pretty much a high school scrimmage. The Arizona does look good coming down the stretch. Baylor got bumped. Kansas, I don't know how you could look at them and just say, oh, they're playing dominant basketball right now. Right.
I think at the end of the day, they're just liking their record in terms of quadrant 1 wins. That's all I can make of it. Because they're giving, they have quite a few quadrant 1 wins, but they didn't got thumped.
Who, Baylor or
no, Kansas?
Kansas. Okay.
Baylor, I think, is 10-5. I think. Baylor 10-5.
Yeah, and then Kansas is 12-5. So
they like their quadrant 1 wins, and I think that's playing a major factor into this.
Yeah, right. I'm not mad at Auburn getting a 2 seed because of how we ended our season. I don't know that we needed to win the Texas A&M game for me to say definitively that we deserve the 1.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not mad at any of those other teams getting the 1 seeds either, because the opportunities that the SEC had, Solomon says it adequately here, The SEC, the top schools choked it away. Kentucky basically had a layup.
It was in the driver's seat.
I won't say a layup, but
they would have grabbed that 1 seed.
They had the easiest path to get there, and then they went out there last night and decided, who needs a 1 seed, right? Like they had their opportunity to get it, and they choked it away last night as well. So, so yeah, man, I'm not mad at the teams that are going to get it, but this is clearly one of those years where there's no far and away this team is the odds-on favorite to win the tournament. Everybody who's in the tourney has a shot to go on a run and make this happen, which is why I'm a little disappointed in the Auburn fans' overreaction right now of like, oh, we're going to get bounced in the, round of 32. There's no dominant teams out here. So if you just play your game and you're making shots, you have a chance to win if you're Auburn because of how you play basketball, which is defensively.
Right.
There's just not a team out there that just looks like unbeatable and you're going to run into some juggernaut. But again, I understand you want Auburn to be unbeatable and they're the juggernaut. It's just not the case this year.
We
so
still have
play ball.
We still have not been beat by double digits this year. Not one time. Nobody
Every
has beat
time
us by
this
double
team
digits.
looks like they're going to get run off the court, they make some sort of run and make it respectable at the end.
Mm-hmm. So I will say this. I mean, we have 0 losses outside of quad 1. So no losses you could look back, no double-digit losses. So there's no loss you could look back and say Auburn didn't have a chance in that game. They got dominated from start to finish. I would also argue that, now JG has said this and Ike has said this, that I'm not sure that grabbing that number 1, that for that last 1 seed, the 4th ranked 1 seed is better than being the number 1 2 seed.
I personally think that it's better to be the highest.
That's what John Brandon says. The 2 seed might be a better path.
Better path for us. Yeah. So I would not get super hung up on the 1 seed debate. Duke got their Dukes blasted, right? Like the other night, they got bounced out of the ACC tournament. There were a lot of teams here that just that completely laid an egg in their conference tournament.
Yeah.
It's astounding when you look at it. So nobody has been super dominant. This tournament is wide open and anybody can get hot and win. And outside of these top teams, there are some teams that can be sneaky dangerous if they get in. Guys, if Texas A&M finds a way into this tournament somehow, they could make some noise. Playing basketball, good basketball at the right time. What was it? Was it last year or the year before? I read something where UCLA was like last 4 in and then made the Final Four. So there was an opportunity here for this team to do something. We have a great coach. They'll have about a week to reset and try to figure out how to get the offense going. But I asked Bruce Pearl, and I'll keep saying this. Hey man, like now that there's no tomorrow, you lose, there's no tomorrow. Do you run more of your offense through Jabari Smith, through your best scorer? Or do you die trying to play basketball the way you are, where you're prone to these cold spells from guys like KD Johnson? Do you rein KD in and say, hey, man, listen, 14 shots. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a tough calculus because if you go out there and you ask him to change his game.
Right.
Right. Or maybe do you just sit him a little bit and rotate some other guys in and try to get some other guys to score, get the ball in the paint a little bit more. And, when he starts doing that kind of like, he starts dribbling between the legs on the perimeter and you don't know what he's going to do. He's going to pull up from 33 feet or maybe drop to the hole, out of control and try to make a layup or something or get fouled. He wasn't getting the calls when he was going to the hole. It felt like, when we lost to Texas A&M. So I'll be interested to see what they decide to do in terms of strategy down the stretch here, because this is wide open. If Auburn is playing average offensive basketball, we feel pretty unbeatable if the defense just keeps doing what they've been doing all year. And we have no reason to believe that they won't, because they have not really had any major meltdowns defensively all year.
Right. Agreed. Walt Taylor says, can we all say LSU, what took you so long to fire Will? Not sad about it at all. That's actually something we're going to talk about in a later segment. So
Gonna
cannot
dig in
wait
that
for
one. We're
that.
gonna come back
Can't
to that
wait
one.
for that. Many fresh hands with that one. James Barnett says, fellas, what do you guys think about this crazy narrative that because Bruce Pearl got the extension, all of a sudden he stopped coaching? That's so asinine.
Ridiculous.
That's my first time hearing that. And
Yeah.
hopefully my last time hearing that. That is asinine. I have to agree with you, James, on that one.
That's a lot of people from other fan bases pushing that. Yeah, I've seen it on Twitter.
Twitter's is an interesting place. All right, guys, listen. Let's talk about football. Let's shift gears. Spring is here. Auburn begins its spring practice on tomorrow, March the 14th. I know what I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm really curious to see specifically the competition in the secondary. There's some guys I'm looking to actually take a big step this upcoming season in the secondary. That's Jalen Simpson, Pritchett. We got some newcomers who came from highly recruited. I'm curious to see the competition there, but I'm also curious to see now that we have a new defensive coordinator, what's kind of the philosophy? Is it still the same? Do we keep everything in front of us? Are we aggressive? And do we play a lot of press man? Like, what does this defense look like in year 2 with the new defensive coordinator? And those are some things that I'm curious to see if we get any sound bites out of practice with players talking or coaches saying some things. Those are some things that I'm looking forward to seeing in terms of the identity defensively with some of the changes we've had, as well as the competition. But I'm going to throw it to Mike G. What are some things you're looking forward to seeing this upcoming spring?
It's got to be the quarterback battle, right?
Like, save that one for you. I saved that one for you.
Yeah, it's got to be this quarterback battle. I've gone through this. I went on Locked On and we talked about it. You know, there's just a lot of people who just don't have any faith in Tj Finley.
Sure.
Based on how last season ended. And promising to not watch Auburn football if he wins the job. And I'm like, good, because I'll tell you, he's just as good a chance as anybody to win that job this spring. You know, based on knowledge of the system, work put in, a rapport with the staff. There are a lot of things that go into the decision of choosing who your starting quarterback is. And TJ checks a lot of boxes. There's nothing that I saw last year that isn't correctable with hard work. Nothing. And I'll die on that hill. It doesn't mean that he will or he won't. But the potential is still there. He in terms of games played, he has not played very much football at the Division I level in game. Now he's got more starting experience than most, but than a lot of guys, certainly that have been in for a couple of years, like Robbie Ashford, it's been in a couple of years now, and he doesn't have any starting experience yet. D. Davis has been with us for a year. He doesn't have any in-game experience. And then you've got Calzada, who's coming in, and he is going to be severely limited with his shoulder, injury this spring. So that leaves a lot of situational reps for other guys to take in drills and in live game scenarios. And somebody can make a huge move this spring towards solidifying the job. Now, I would argue, based on whole body of work in college, Calzada, if anybody is the one that could probably afford to miss the spring,
right, and
still have a reasonable shot to win the job in fall camp. I don't think any of these other guys could afford to miss spring. But and I don't know that anybody can really afford to miss spring, but it does set you back. I just think it's got to be all eyes are going to be on that quarterback position. Just all but one person on our starting offensive line returns. Tank is back. Jarquez is back. Javarius Johnson is coming back. Everybody made a big deal about this guy going into the portal and leaving, and he's going to be back. Kobe is gone, but we still got Malcolm Johnson We still have Tavares Dawson. All the quarterbacks have been raving about Jay Fair.
Mm-hmm.
If two of these guys at receiver step up this spring and can be go-to guys for these quarterbacks, we have probably one of the best tight end rooms we've ever had at Auburn, with Shanker, Deal, and Fromm, and Landon King. Come on, man! This is not
maybe receiver.
Yeah, I just think it all brings me back to quarterback. If you find the right quarterback this spring, you can shock a lot of people in a year where I know we play Georgia and Bama on the road, but other than that, the rest of the schedule sets up really nice. 5 straight home games to start the season. And a lot of teams on that schedule that you beat last year.
Yeah.
Already in kind of a down year. So if we improve any, I just think I don't know, man. Having a real quarterback competition this spring is going to be real. Brian Harsin was not in an advantageous position last spring with the quarterbacks, right? TJ got here after the spring practice was over, so missing that time, kind of relegated him to that 2 role, I think. And those are critical reps he missed with our team that may have made him more effective, even if he didn't win the starting job down the stretch. Getting that spring is really important. And then you had D. Davis, who freshman trying to adjust to the game at this level. Really no shot that he was going to play, and Grant Loy.
Right.
So, you had 2 quarterbacks and Bo Nix, who obviously won the job and was having his best season by far until the injury. But we still saw some really low lows from that quarterback during that season as well, too. Georgia State and Texas A&M. The floor was still pretty low in terms of how bad it could get with the guy who we started. So what I'm looking for this spring from quarterback is, can we raise the floor, the minimum, the MVP, the minimum viable product from the quarterback position, from whoever wins the job? That's what you've got to be looking for. And what you've got to show the coaches in the spring is you got to show them consistency. You've got to show them hard work, try hard. You got to be a try hard this spring. So you've got to put forth the effort, and you need to demonstrate a deep understanding of offensive concepts, because that's what builds trust between a quarterback and his coach. When we send you out there, you're going to be able to execute whatever it is we call. And can I trust you to get us out of bad plays? Those are the best teams. The coach calls a play, and the quarterback is another coach on the field that can say, I don't like this protection. I'm going to switch this up. Feeling free to have that autonomy to do that is something that is a marker for how much trust the coach has in his quarterback. Right. I want to see some of that this spring. So this is going to be exciting to watch. I think it's wide open. Calzada and TJ have an edge up on everybody just based on experience. But I would not be surprised to see Robbie Ashford or now, according to reports, D. Davis. I go back and forth on D. I admittedly flip-flop on D. Davis. And not because of his talent at all. I think this kid's dynamic talent. But the X factor was this coaching staff, how they're viewing things. That's what my flip-flop has been about. What's important to these coaches. The more we learn about them, the more I thought, D may not be a good fit here. And then, reports are he's starting to adjust and mature and get into it. I'm just like, yes, okay, I want to believe that. I want to believe that a kid can get feedback and change and be the best version of himself that gives us another guy who can go in and get the job done. So it's exciting. It's going to be exciting this spring. I'm excited for it. And I think fans should be too. They should be hopeful. They should be a lot more hopeful than some of the pundits and the media would have you believe that this is gloom and doom. Right. The staff and the players have a really good shot to do something special this spring.
And you have more people bought in this time around than you did a year ago.
40%. 40% of the team is what we were told were bought into what they were trying to do last season. That is a significant hurdle to overcome. When you have guys who, maybe going out there and going through the motions, but they're not really bought into what the plan is. So we saw an exodus through the transfer portal, and now the guys that have chosen to stay are bought in. And some of the guys who jumped in and changed their mind and now are coming back get it now. You know why? Because they went out there. I cannot talk about this all the time. And they found out their stock wasn't what they thought it was.
Or the grass was actually AstroTurf, and it wasn't the real thing.
And it causes you to be introspective and reflect on where you're at and be like, okay, maybe this is what coach was talking about. Maybe I do need to work on these things.
Yeah.
Maybe I do need to look at me and work on me. So, once the team, guys making that personal growth, as individuals and then coming together as a team with those realizations, you make that personal growth as an individual, it makes you a better teammate. Now, once you become a better teammate, you can elevate yourself and the guys around you. So there's a lot, but I just think it starts at quarterback, man. Those guys have to believe in the guy that they put out there. And TJ is he's popular on the team, right? Like he's got those guys really, we saw at times how they rallied around him. He takes responsibility for stuff, and a guy who will at least acknowledge where he needs to improve has the best chance to improve. Now, in our interview with him, he said, man, consistency and becoming a better leader. I'm going to get guys out of their room. I highly suggest you go watch that interview if you haven't seen it. And he does not go to throw without telling the other quarterbacks that he's going to throw. Now grabbing the receivers, guys, let's go.
Yeah.
I like that. I love that attitude.
All right, your thoughts, man. What are you looking forward to this upcoming spring? What are some things that you're looking at specifically? What players, if any, what are you looking to see?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the quarterback situation is one that's going to be of interest because it is probably the first season in a while that we've gone into the season without a clear idea of who the number one was, right? Like, we had a debate last offseason about what the pecking order was going to be going in and whose job it was to lose. I don't know that it's anybody's job to lose right now. I think it's a true open competition. Someone needs to differentiate themselves. And I don't even know that we'll have that answer going out of spring, right? We might have a better idea of where people are falling in line, but I don't know that anyone's going to be a true, hey, it's their job to lose leaving spring unless they are heads and tails above everyone else. And from a talent perspective, I think it's fairly close. The difference is going to be experience at this point. Then when you get into the other position battles that I think to me are particularly interesting, you talked about defensive backfield and where a lot of the turnover is going to be happening there. And there's some guys that have transferred in. But then the other one is going to be linebacker for me, right? Like the run game that we had last year, or the defensive run game that we had, was significantly worse when Zacoby McClain was not a part of that picture. Who's going to be the person that's going to be assisting and making sure, not just, from a tackle standpoint, because the productivity I don't care who gets the tackles, whether it's one person or by committee, but just getting in the right position to make sure the defense up front is handling the run the way that they need to be, and not allowing teams to just be able to tee off and just choke the clock out by running it down our throats, right? So the linebacker position is going to be one that's particularly interesting for me as well. And then lastly, wide receiver, right? Ike Hilliard coming in as the wide receiver coach. Of course, the name is big, and what he's been able to do in his career has been noted. Right. Is he going to be able to help make sure that this wide receiver group that was making strides towards the end of last year, that started out really tough last year, made strides, are they going to continue to improve? And are we going to be able to get consistent productivity from that position to help out what could be potentially a quarterback that could struggle, right, at times, right? But you can't struggle and your wide receiver struggle, right? Like we're going to have to pick a struggle next year. We can't have it both be. We can't be both. Right. It can't be the wide receivers are struggling and the quarterback is struggling. One of the two of y'all going to have to decide what's going to be. If the quarterback's delivering the ball, you got to catch it, and you've got to be able to do something with it once you get it into your hands, right? And so hopefully what we're able to do from the standpoint of having an effective pass game allows for our run game to have more room to operate. And then you'll see the true talent of those running backs be able to function outside of a 7-8 man box every game. So.
Well, guys, listen, we'll talk more about spring, especially in the upcoming lives as more information comes out. And we'll begin to just kind of break down what's happening, who's taking a step forward, who haven't we heard from, what's going on there, how the new coaches filling out the program. And we'll be here to keep you updated on that, guys. But now it's time to draw. It's time for someone to win a shirt. What kind of shirt?
We're doing the AU t-shirt. We're doing the AU t-shirt. Yeah, so it's we're not giving. I think we're almost done with hoodies, unless you live in DC where it snowed yesterday. I could still use a hoodie, but it's getting pretty warm, so we're switching over to t-shirts here.
We got a little dusting in Birmingham.
Did you guys really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's shocking. But yep, hashtag get your weight up. Riley M, check your spelling, bro. I saw you in the comments. Misspelling, get your weight up. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. Ike, how many people we got going here?
Oh, we got a lot today, man. We got 45, bro.
45? What?
Yeah,
man.
Better
than that. We can do better than that. I mean, we better see Lisa's name go by. I'm gonna have to check the algorithm.
John asked, will we be at A-Day? You absolutely know it. We will be down at A-Day. I don't know if everybody's going to be there. I don't know if, Mike, if you're making the trip down, but I 100% am making the drive down to Auburn. You going to make the drive this time to the A-Day?
I should, yeah. I think I should be able to be there.
We should have some representation there. So. Yeah, so we'll be down there. We'll figure out kind of how we want to lock in with you guys and find a place for us to connect or something, man. But we will be in the place.
Well, while they get their entries up, let's shout out RogueShop.
This segment of the War Report is brought to you in part by RogueShop.com.
If you're in need of high-quality, all-natural herbs and extracts that contribute to a happy, healthy lifestyle, the Rogue Shop is the place for you. With a variety of products that contribute to a healthy sleep, lower stress, and a happy mood, the Rogue Shop has you covered. Visit them at DRogueShop.com and use code REPORT today. Tell them the War Report sent you.
Hey, you guys have been doing a great job going to Rogue Shop and ordering stuff. Our guy Richard has been telling us we appreciate you guys. Go over there and get you some gummies. I have a feeling you're going to need them for this tournament. If KD goes 0 for 14, you're gonna wish you had some gummies.
God no, I'm hoping we saw our floor and that we don't hit our floor again in this tournament. But just in case you need them, don't forget to use code REPORT when you order your gummies. All right, be sure that. All right.
So what do we want to do here? We're gonna.
I ain't waiting no more. Y'all just gonna have to get in here. If you want the shirt, go put your drawing name for the drawing, man. Y'all playing around.
Did you see Lisa's name?
I did not. Largwin Taylor. Largwin, did he win already? He might have won already.
Name sounds familiar, but I don't think he's won anything yet. But we'll see.
Are you here? That's the thing. Are you still around? Are you here, sir? Let us know in the. Oh, he is here.
Boom.
You know what to do, sir. You know what to do.
Yeah.
Business at the War Report. Send us your address, physical address, as well as your shirt size. Please let us know that, or Mike G will send you a schmedium. We do have those in stock, so please be sure to give us your shirt size as well as your address. And congratulations. And also thanks again to Walt Taylor for being able to sponsor this for us so that we can give you guys free stuff. Let Walt know you appreciate him in the comments if you haven't done so already. Now, Pro Day, guys. Auburn actually hosts pro days. Very kind of quiet under the radar pro day, it seems to me. But Auburn is hosting its pro day on Tuesday, March the 15th, and actually doing 2 time slots. So the pro timing day for draft eligible players will be held on Tuesday at 7. I'm hearing some people say 7:15, so it's 7:15 ish in the morning, and then they're having the pro day for the rising seniors later that day at 1 p.m. Mike G, you have recorded a few pro days. You've seen them in action. What typically, in an effort to educate the fans, what takes place on a pro day, and what's the point behind it?
Yeah, before I jump to that, Lisa, I didn't see it either. I don't know what happened. I know you put it in. It did not go by at all. So I'm keeping stock of names I don't see, and then we're gonna do a special drawing where only you guys get in. And we're gonna test it. But yeah, so pro day, right? I filmed my fair share of pro days. One of my favorite pro days that I ever filmed was Jay Ratliff. So if you guys remember, he was a defensive lineman for us, during our time in school. And this is your chance to really impress scouts. Now, not everybody gets invited to the combine. So on pro day, players that did not get invited to the combine, players who maybe a few years removed from Auburn but have not gone pro can come back and participate in pro day. So, former players can come back and participate in pro day if they've been working on their own to try to impress scouts with their workouts. I remember the pro scouts talking about how good Jay Ratliff was with his hands. It was one of the reasons why he got shot. And, sometimes the combine, it's impossible to get everybody to the combine that's going to be somebody. So pro day coming up is a good chance for players to come back and make an impression on pro scouts. These workouts, you run a good 40 time, you show some good work in the weight room, you do a few things that it's the same. It's almost like a mini combine workout is what you go through on pro day. So Auburn's pro day is this Tuesday, and what they're going to be going through is they're going to be going through a series of workouts that are going to show off to scouts what they can do. Now, what is that? Let's see here. So I had that pulled up here. Right. So they're going to start in the weight room. They're going to weigh in and they're going to do measurements. So a lot of what happens after the season is over, if you're going pro, what a lot of these guys do is they hire personal trainers. They go into training mode for about a month, where they will try to get their bodies in tip-top physical condition to show off for pro scouts. I remember seeing what Roderick Hood looked like when he came back to Auburn for his pro day after working with his his guy for like 3 weeks, and he looked like somebody put him in the Captain America machine. It was insane. I was like, wow, Roderick got in crazy shape. And now these are already tip-top athletes. And there's another level past that when you're getting ready for the combine, that these guys all find a way to go Super Saiyan before they have to work out in front of these scouts. So at 8:45, they're going to do flexibility tests, vertical jumps, and bench press, things that just show off strength and athleticism. So the bench press, depending on, Kevin Yachts was not a real big bench press guy. He just kind of felt like you don't play the game on your back, so why would you practice doing this on your back, right? But it does, that motion of being able to push guys off of you and stiff arm guys, it's going to matter. So what they usually do is they put 225 pounds on the bar, and it's a max out, right? It's a burnout. I'm sorry, it's a burnout, where they want to just see how many reps can you get of 225 before you fail. Now, what's normal? Your average receiver is not even going to be able to do this 20 times. Now, at my strongest, I was able to put up about 18 reps of 225 before failure. That puts me not exactly with the kickers, but I mean, I felt strong. I felt really strong at that point. So I've seen linemen do this upwards of 40 times, which is crazy strong. I mean, they're throwing around that bar like it's a toothpick. But they'll do the 225 test. There are some receivers that will sit out the 225 test because, again, it's not really relevant to that's not strength that they need. So it helps if they do it. But, at the end of the day, linemen, running backs, the 225 test is really important for running backs, linemen, linebackers, receivers, and kickers, not so much.
Receivers are doing vertical. They're testing their leap, right?
Yeah, speed and agility primarily for receivers. Then they'll move to the indoor facility where they'll do broad jump, a 40-yard dash, again, more agility, L drills, 60-yard shuttle, and then they'll go through position workouts where you'll go through drills relevant to your position. If you're a quarterback, you know what that means. And what you'll have is some receivers who may not even be playing, but they're still in great shape, come back. They had great rapport with their quarterbacks, come back and just catch balls on pro day for their guy. So it's kind of cool to watch. I've seen this happen where guys are just come back and say, "Hey, listen, man, I already graduated, but I'm gonna come back and I'm going to catch balls for Calzada," and and it helps when you know where a guy's going to be and you know exactly what pace he runs at and how to lay a ball out for him. That definitely matters. So you can look really good at pro day. It's your chance to kind of stage it a little bit and then show off where you don't have to. You can take other elements that you have to focus on out of the picture and just go out there and just be natural and show them what you can do. So speed kills. I think we know that speed kills. And I want to say in this combine, we had the second or third fastest 40 time ever run this offseason. Chat helped me out here. There was a kid who was burning fast at the combine
last year.
No, I'm talking about this year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This year, this combine, they had a guy.
I think he was at Baylor. Was he at Baylor? I think.
Yeah, God, some guy just tore it up, and I was like, "Wow!"
He ran like a 4.2,
4.2 something.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
So you get a chance to really just show off, and this is like last chance, man, for a lot of these guys to make an impression on scouts and try to get on a draft board somewhere where somebody may take a chance on you in the late rounds. I know guys who were there, and there are high profile players that actually skip the combine to work out at their pro day. You'll see that a lot too. Some guys are just like, I'm not going to throw at the combine. If you want to see me throw, you're going to come to my pro day.
Yeah.
Right. And just to be in a better environment where you feel more comfortable and you can show off a little bit. So. Yeah.
Interesting to see how that plays out. I don't know, Ike, if you had any comments on that. We don't know who's actually participating. The university hasn't released that. So I'm curious to see once Pro Day gets here, who actually participated and how they did. So maybe something else we'll discuss on Wednesday as well. Didn't know if you guys had any more closing thoughts. We can actually get to the fun part. We got some things to talk about.
Yeah. Good luck to all these guys. Good luck to all these guys on Pro Day, man.
For sure. Absolutely. Hope they do well. All right, guys.
What did we see?
I'm a little Aggie, pun intended, about being right about Texas A&M. I felt like early in the season, I was like, this team actually can get into the tournament. I didn't know that it was going to come at our expense and Arkansas's expense. But I think the way they won these games on a grand stage with everyone watching and paying attention, to get to the championship game, looks like they're going to lose to Tennessee. But the way they've been able to make a last minute statement or a case for why they should be in the tournament, I think they made it. I think this is a team that can actually do well in the tournament, and they've always been a good defensive team. In so many ways, they can be kind of like us at times. They did not shoot the ball well when they played us at Auburn. I think in that game, we didn't shoot well at one point, but they shot horribly, if you recall. They actually looked like us on Friday at Neville Arena. But I think this is a team that early on we was wondering, okay, can this team really be good and make some noise in the SEC? They was doing really good out of conference, but once conference play started, they struggled a bit. But it seems like we saw with Arkansas at one point in the season, they just started to catch fire. And so I think this is enough to get them in. Could bring our total number of teams in the SEC tournament to actually 7, which again will cap an amazing year for our conference. But me and Mike G talked about this. Texas A&M's ascension means what for some teams that may find themselves on a bubble in our conference? Like?
Yeah, listen, I've been back and forth over this. What happens when you have Ike and I were talking about this too, like auto quals from conferences that were not they wouldn't have made the tournament otherwise. Somebody gets bumped out. And probably sometimes somebody deserving gets bumped out. So what does that look like in the SEC? Well, you had 5 teams that were absolutely always going to make it to this tournament going into the conference tournament. Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, LSU, and Arkansas. Those teams are in. We know they're in the tournament. The 6th team was Bama. But you close the season losing your last 3 games, and then you get mopped up by Vanderbilt. And so you win no tournament games. Yikes. Now, Texas A&M just went down to Tennessee. Tennessee, congratulations to the Tennessee Volunteers on winning the SEC Tournament Championship. If Texas A&M had won that game, I thought it would have put, some other people more in question. So they're probably a little bit more secure. But I think Texas A&M did enough to prove that they deserve a shot in the tourney. They do. Really difficult. It was going to be really difficult from them to come from where they were seated to winning this SEC tournament against a team that just had days more rest on them and just did not have to play as many games. Mm-hmm. Now, don't tell their coach that. Because he was like, I'm tired. People talking about how we tired. But ultimately, down the stretch, you played a really good team, and it definitely played. It's a tough task for anybody to come from the back of the tournament to win, which is why they give auto qualifications to teams that win their tournament. You got to be hot, man. You can't do that on accident.
Right.
That's not luck. If you come from the back of the pack to win it. So I don't know. I mean, it kind of gets into my what did I see. Should I transition to that? Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, okay. So for me, Alabama, they're going to make the tournament, but they shouldn't. They should not be in this tournament. They're bums. They are bums. The Alabama Crimson Tide is a team full of bums. I mean,
Lance, did you got that?
Social media? Okay. Yeah, right. For social media. They're going to make the tournament, but they shouldn't. They're bums. I'll die on this hill. I will die on this hill. Now, I don't know what they'll do in the tournament because it's tourney time. Anything could happen. When they're hitting from 3, they are difficult. They are a difficult team, but that could be said of any team. Now, what did they do down the stretch? What did they accomplish? They beat Gonzaga, sure, early in the season. I'm not so sure they could do that again late in the season, but they beat Gonzaga. They took out Baylor. And
they beat Arkansas.
Did they beat Arkansas? Yeah, they
beat
beat
Arkansas
by a point. And they beat LSU and Tennessee. The LSU won by 3 points. The Tennessee won by 5 points. But coming down the stretch here, you're talking about in their last 5, they went 2 and 6. 2 and 4 over their last 6 games. I'm sorry. They went 2 and 4 over their last 6 games. Well, it's just a really crappy way to end the season. And I just don't know. Like, I mean, there are a lot of other teams. This is as competitive as the SEC has ever been. But when you're looking at the standings, Texas A&M missing this tournament and Alabama making it would be an absolute travesty. I think that would be a travesty based on how they close. Now, A&M didn't do themselves any favors with how they closed the season. I mean, I'm sorry, in the middle of the season, 8 straight losses or something crazy like that in the middle of the season. You know, early we were thinking, hey, man, this is a really good basketball team. And then they had some troubles, but they got it together here down the stretch. But Alabama will have finished 8th in the SEC this year. 8th in conference. If they're going to make the tournament, A&M should certainly be in.
Right.
I just don't know how, like, if you're going to count that 8-game losing stretch against them, you need to count this streak at the end where they played impressive basketball in their favor. And how you're playing at the end of the season, I think matters. It does, because you are not the same team at the end of the season that you were at the beginning of the season. So Alabama's early season accomplishments, even Auburn to some extent, man, like, you know, hey, we felt like early in the season we looked like a lock 1 seed. I don't think anybody can argue that we absolutely should be a 1 seed here at the end based on how we played down the stretch. Yeah, love it or hate it, that's the truth. Now, we didn't go out and do what Bama did, but you're talking about the 8th best team in our conference. Just about everybody else won at least 20 games. They did not. 19 and 13. And we're sitting about here thinking like they're locked to make the tournament. I don't know that they should be a lock. Now, I thought they were a lock, and then B kept, he's like, I don't know, Mike. I don't know. He kept putting it on Twitter. He was like, I know Mike said they were going to make it, but and the more I saw what was happening in college basketball, I started to come over to Brian's side about this. Like, I was like, I don't know if these dudes should make it. They're bums. Their best player, one of their best players is a bum. You know, their coach is a bum. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think they can't. I mean, they're not a great defensive team, right? Like, they don't have a dominant inside presence. All they have is the 3 ball. And when it's not there, they are a below average squad. And there's going to be a few teams that get left out of this tournament because Bama is going to be in, and that is crap. Bums. I said it. I will die on that hill. I hope they lose. I mean, they should make it out of the first round, maybe. But listen, this is a 12th seed at best, if you ask me. Bama is a 12th seed. They won't get a 12th seed, but they are a 12th seed at best. I think they had them slated as a 6. They'll probably get like a 8 or 9 seed at this point right now. I can make a case for why they're a 16 seed, honestly. Bums. You know the bum tournament that they had before the tournament, the first 4 that play the playing games. That's where Bama belongs. In the playing games. That's the type of basketball they played down the stretch here. They have really, really played down to some mediocre competition. And I do think now, I'm with Brian, I think it really negates out anything they accomplished mid to early season. Because they beat nobody down the stretch. Nobody of note.
So are you saying they're bums?
They're bums. Bums. Alabama is a team full of bums. And their fans are
Blatantly
bums.
underachieving, mediocre squad.
Yes, that's an acronym. Put it on a t-shirt. Right? Bums.
Blatantly underachieving, mediocre squad.
Yep.
That's what we're going to call
it. So,
yeah. Okay. All right.
The fact that we are going to have to watch them play 1 minute of basketball in this tournament is an affront to basketball fans everywhere. God, man, I just wish they were. And it would make me so happy if justice would just prevail in a few hours. It's Selection Sunday. In 3 hours, we're going to find out. And these bums got left out of the tournament. That's what they deserve. NIT. Send them bums to the NIT where they belong.
I love it. I love
bums.
It. Ike, what you got? We were supposed to be saving this for Pastor Ike, but the undercard went off.
Yeah, I'm not going to have probably as much of a great speech as Mike just had, but I will say, Will Wade, come to the carpet, sir.
Oh man,
this has been a long time coming, bro.
I love this, by the way. Wade in the high water. I see what you did there.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I don't know that Will Wade will ever coach for a major college basketball team again. It's looking real bad for your boy. And LSU deserves everything that they are about to get for not just when the allegations started and you were caught on tape, going ahead and biting the bullet and taking some sort of penalties and punishments. They may have to vacate wins even if they make the tournament.
A whole ass season.
Like, they're going to be playing in the NCAA tournament, and none of this could matter in a couple of months after the NCAA is done with them. He has screwed their program so royally right now. And LSU's athletic department, just as a whole, let's look at the last year and a half of LSU as an athletic department. The allegations that have come from the previous coaching staffs for football and basketball. I don't know what y'all doing in Baton Rouge right now, but y'all need to get your lives together, bro. Like, it's bordering blatant. Like, athletic director needs to just be about, just wipe the slate clean and push Baton Rouge on into the Gulf or something. Like, y'all are just struggling to just do life the proper way right now as an athletic department. Like, it wouldn't shock me that other athletic programs at LSU have some stuff going on there. Just how much ridiculousness is happening in Baton Rouge right now. But Will Wade specifically has tarnished himself to the point where, so y'all saw, what's your guy's name that used to be the coach at Ole Miss? Not Ole Miss, excuse me. Baylor. Art Browse, right?
Art Browse, yeah.
Art Browse got a job at a HBCU as like an offensive coordinator. And then he ended up leaving within a week of doing that, right? Like, Will Wade is going down this path where, I just don't know what the rehab program is going to be that allows him to coach again as the head coach for any major program. Like, he is damaged goods right now. Like, this isn't Bruce Pearl situation. Like, this is way worse than what was going on with Bruce Pearl. Will Wade is struggling, man. He's struggling bad, and LSU is about to be struggling real bad. Like, they about to be down bad.
Mm-hmm. Hope he got a strong ass lawyer.
I hope that the Auburn basketball team is just sitting here looking through files of players. Like, can we poach some of these guys? Because, who wants to play for that team right now? It means nothing.
Hey, that's a good point. Bruce got some poaching to do.
Like, I'm just saying, it means nothing to play for LSU right now, because you just know whatever you do won't amount to anything, because there's no way LSU gets out of this without postseason bans. So you could go mop everybody up next year and you'll still be sitting at the house watching the tournament.
Scholarship hits. Just
important to note that when the NCAA handed down their decision on Auburn, they noted the university's preemptive action as significant.
That's my whole point. LSU just decided they were going to sit on their hands and see what happened.
It's a real gamble.
LSU said YOLO.
Right. It's a real gamble. So most of it was basketball. There were a couple of violations in football, I believe. I think most of this is basketball.
Yeah.
But football got wrapped up into it just a little bit. And for those of you who are not aware, when these allegations dropped literally years ago,
right,
they actually reworked Will Wade's contract to say, if anything comes of this, we can fire you for cause, and we're not paying you a dime.
And which he is now fired for cause, and they do not plan to pay him the rest of his contract.
So the fact that they chose to fire him means that whatever's coming, like the hammer's dropping.
But it's not. This is a big deal. Like, they did it on a team that's going to the tournament before the tournament started. They didn't even say, "Oh, we'll just play it out and see what happens through the end of the NCAA tournament," because whatever they found, they're trying to make sure that if this team makes a run in the tournament, Will Wade isn't a part of that, so that they don't have to take any.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's exactly what this means.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they'll do it. Like, I mean, because if you invalidate all the games that he coached leading up to the tournament, does that negate what you do in the tournament? I mean, at this point,
at this point, it's too late. I would think for that to matter. But.
And then, are there any kids currently on this team that are part of the allegations that might negate? We don't know. We haven't.
Interesting.
So like, it's going to be. I don't know how much people, like, there may be some people in the chat lost about like why this is significant, but essentially he was caught on FBI wiretaps making offers to kids, and the quote was, hey, we made this kid a strong ass offer. So when you see if you're on Twitter, you see people saying, "Oh, I bet Will Wade needs a strong ass drink right now." That's people picking at Will Wade over his own words. And I mean, it seemed pretty damning, which is why a lot of fans were like, how is this dude still employed if he was caught on taps? Now, I was like, man, they must really have some good lawyers, because they looked at it. The university looked at it and decided to continue to employ this dude.
Which is why I said there is a problem in the athletic administration at LSU. If your football the two major sports that you have at your school both have significant issues, the football program, they seem to be oblivious to what was going on. You knew what happened with the basketball program, and you were just kind of like, we'll see.
Yeah, it was not a good choice. So everybody, when these allegations started getting handed down, right? The guy out at Arizona, he was part of it too. What was the coach's name out there?
Who was this again?
Arizona was caught up in it. This was Kansas, Auburn, LSU, Arizona. I mean, some big time programs got caught up in this sweeping FBI thing.
I think Louisville got caught up in it.
Yeah, right. And Auburn, our leadership said, you know what? Let's go ahead and sit out this season, right? We sat down. We sat down players like Austin Wiley and I think it was Purefoy. Was it Purefoy?
It's Purefoy.
They had to sit out. And while they investigated, there were talks about Bruce Pearl not cooperating with the investigation. But essentially what they did was they lawyered up. And it was smart to do so. Yeah. So, Bruce and his team lawyered up, and the lawyers were like, don't say shit. Right now, a lot of that got viewed as non-cooperation, but the truth is that this was an FBI investigation. So yeah, like, you be very careful about what you say. In the spirit of cooperation, you cannot go out and say something that may incriminate you. Now, and the whole idea that if you got nothing to hide, you should talk, that's crap. They're trying to catch you in something. There's these people's job to try to catch you in something, and ultimately you may still be vindicated.
You talking about Zach Hill when you said the Arizona thing?
Yeah, who was who? Sean. I thought it was Sean somebody.
Oh, I thought you
No. Arizona, the University of Arizona basketball.
Talking about basketball.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah.
Chad, help me out. It's the coach there. Luke, was it Luke?
Not Lute Olson.
Yeah,
Lute Olson.
No.
He's gone already. They had another guy.
The University of Arizona basketball coach. Because he got caught on taps too.
Sean Miller.
Yeah, I knew it was Sean somebody, right? And so you've got all these high-profile marquee coaches that are caught up in this thing. And again, his was pay for play as well too. That's what it is. It sucks for these guys now because of NIL, right? Like, I know you need to do all that. And a lot of what got Chuck Person in trouble, there are legal avenues through which you could do some of the stuff that these guys are ultimately getting in trouble for, or got in trouble for. But what Wade has done and what the university, it was a total, this is the kind of stuff, guys, that when you look back, when the dust settles, people, it's not just coaches that lose their job. A lot of administrators will lose their job over this. Now, if you think back to Jetgate, we had to replace a president and an AD over Jetgate back in 2003 for extremely unethical behavior. You cannot try to hire a new coach before you fired your old one. You can't do that. It's a bad look. So when you go back and you're looking at what's happening at LSU, they did the opposite of what Auburn did. They dug their heels in. We did cooperate, but we also said, you know what? We're going to sit these kids down. And, we recognize that there were missteps made here, but not by our coach, by a rogue coach who went off and did some things on his own. And ultimately, the NCAA came back and said, you know what? We're going to hit you guys with failure to promote compliance. And they're pretty much saying you're responsible for what happens under your roof, ultimately, regardless. So you need to keep a tight leash on these guys and just make sure that everybody understands. And they felt like we could have done more to educate about compliance issues and things of that nature. And it was also alleged that somebody had raised concerns and those concerns weren't dealt with, which is why they said failure to promote compliance. The university recognized and said, you know what, you're right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to sit that down. And they know, guys, I can't stress, before the season started, before we knew that the tournament was going to be canceled and there would be no postseason, Auburn said, we're not going to play in the postseason this year. The NCAA noted that action as significant and meaningful. And they did not come back and penalize us later just because a pandemic hit and we had to sit it out anyway. We were going to set that up.
It was actually the next year.
The next year? Yeah, the next year.
Yeah, they announced it before the COVID hit.
That's correct.
That season, but it applied to the following year.
Yeah.
When we actually, we had a bad season, but we didn't know we was going to have a bad season. So, yeah.
Yeah, we did. I was proud of our university league. Clearly, we've learned something about how to navigate a crisis.
Right.
LSU did the opposite. They were like, "We're good.
We're gonna get a lot of practice this year,
and we ain't gonna do nothing." Now, it is a roll of the dice. Essentially, you're betting on there's nothing to see here. You're saying there's nothing to see here, but then you rework this.
100% knew there was smoke. So much so that you made Will Wade restructure his contract so you wouldn't have to pay him after you.
Right.
You knew there was going to be something happening here, and the most you did was weasel out of paying him the remainder of his contract. That's it. Your whole thing was, well, I'm just not going to pay you when I fire you.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
That's it.
Take your hits now.
Your program.
Now, I wonder if they had just imposed self-bans at the time and just admitted some fault.
They'd be done with this by now, probably.
Oh, yeah. And Wade may have kept his job through it.
He probably still would have got fired because he
Well,
was actually culpable as opposed
Yeah.
to
Oh, that's
It,
true.
it was. It
Especially
wasn't a
if you
Bruce.
would
It
have-
wasn't a Bruce situation where, like,
he was
you
hands
got
off.
evidence.
Yeah,
You got evidence of the guy doing
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah,
So
that's
like,
true.
he still would have lost his job, but LSU as a program would be better for it. And they screwed themselves.
Correct.
I think
Correct.
this is not the end of what you're going to see in this LSU saga as far as their basketball program getting sanctions.
Well, it absolutely is not, because you have to remember that the NCAA, they are some petty mofos. And because they do not have subpoena power, they cannot compel anybody to talk that doesn't want to talk. Right? So
but they've been building the same thing that happened with us. They've been building case over several years, waiting to make a decision.
That's why it takes so long.
Yeah.
People bemoan the amount of time that these cases drag out, but it's mostly because they can't make anybody talk. They have no subpoena power, and people who are doing wrong will employ stall tactics, and they have to come to a decision sometimes without all of the facts. They can only hire lawyers and then try to gather as many facts as possible. And those schools can delay that action by essentially challenging it in court, taking it to court and saying, hey, listen, this is not right, blah, 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 and get a stay of the judgment. So it can drag out for years and years and years. What they've shown us is that if you make them go through all that, there is zero chance they're going to be favorable. They're going to be very heavy-handed in their judgment if you make them go through that.
Yeah.
If you say,
that's
okay,
that's like how it was with my mom. She was like, if you run away from me giving you this whooping, I have to chase you down to give it to you.
Yeah, what I get
you might as well just stop running. Just take your punishment and be done with it.
Yeah, just stop. Mom, my right cheek's kind of sore. Stick to the left cheek. I'm here. Right? Like, I'm not running. I'm here. Right. Like, just go ahead and cooperate. They refuse it. So, like Ike is saying, man, this may decimate their program for 5 to 6 years. It's going to be really difficult to get any recruits to come there, or to get a coach essentially to, I'll be interested to see how long the postseason ban is.
Right, because you have to have a coach that's just kind of willing to coach through this mess. And who wants to do that with their hands tied behind their back?
Bro, I guess everyone has to write an article to get. They
could go get Tom Crean. Like, he'd be garbage anyway, so they could just hire him for the time that they're going to be banned.
Yeah, put him on a 3-year contract.
Yeah,
and see how he does.
Hilarious. Yeah, like people's write articles about who's going to be the replacement, and they mentioned A&M's coach, and I was like, why would he go to LSU? Like, why would he do that?
Man, I don't know how you get a top recruit to go there over the next 3 years. Essentially telling them you're probably not going to be able to play in the big dance, or show off your skills on college basketball's biggest
scholarship limitations. You can't even if you do draw some kids there, like you got reductions, so it's going to be a mess.
They won't be able to recruit a water boy for the next 5 years. I'm miffed at how their university leadership blew this. like I said, they restructured his contract to say, if we find something, we can fire you, which means you had some inkling that this might not turn out favorably.
And the fact that Will Wade went through that restructure, like, I don't know if he was like, yeah, that's fine, I'll do it because I didn't do anything wrong, or if he was like, he had no choice. He was just like, you know what, I'll just ride this out. And that's, listen, he'd have been better off of just leaving. Like he'd have been better off telling them, just fire me now. And give me my buyout or something. Like, I just
right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The people behind the decision making for this at LSU, for the sake of the student athletes that have to deal with this in the future, I hope they know something we don't. Right? Like, even though as a rival of them, I sit here and kind of chuckle at their downfall. For the sake of student athletes, I hope they know something we don't, that allows them to say, we've done enough here to avoid harsh, because I just don't know how your program survives. Like, you've basically just condemned yourself to switch places with Georgia as the worst basketball team in the conference.
Yeah, facts. Facts.
Godspeed. Well, listen, we avoided. We avoid. Yeah. May the Lord be with you. Go ahead and take us up. Take us out, Mike G. Tell them about how they need to become a patron in the off season.
Hey, listen, become a patron, join our community. We appreciate this. If you're getting ready to hop out of the stream, don't just yet. I have an announcement to make. But become a patron, join our community. This is a great way to support our content. We have one of the best communities, if not the best community, on the interwebs and YouTube, talking all things Auburn. So hang with us. It's going to be a great offseason here, going through spring ball, and hopefully with Auburn coming out on top of the NCAA tournament with a championship, first one in program history. We'll be here with you through all of it. Congratulations to our raffle winners. If you didn't win, you can just buy a t-shirt. Head over to thewarreport.com, hit the hamburger icon in the top right corner, and select the catalog, and you'll see all our merch there. Guys, we're on podcast. Check us out on every single podcast platform. We are all over the place, and it is exciting to see the growth that we have coming. So podcast is a big part of that. I want to thank our title sponsor, University Ace Hardware. Check them out at 2101 East University Drive, Auburn, Alabama. They have been great partners for us, as has Prize Picks. So go to prizepicks.com, use code REPORT to get 100% match right now going into the tournament. Should be fun. Lots of opportunities to win over at Prize Picks. Our interview with Tj Finley is still up, guys. Go check this out. This is part of our Building Rapport series where we interview, current players, former coaches, former players, guys. These are significant and meaningful conversations that we have with people in and around and know Auburn football. So Tj Finley gave us a little time. We thank him for humbly giving us some time to talk about things that he's working on this offseason. Also, we had Robbie Ashford on. So if you haven't seen that interview yet, go back and check that one out as well, too.
Yeah, I saw somebody ask earlier, let me just, while we're on that subject, were we going to be getting the other quarterbacks? They mentioned specifically Demetrius Davis. Listen, we've put feelers out there to all 5 of them. We just happen to have a better relationship with the people around the 2 that we've gotten. So, we're going to try to get some more of them on here and talk to you all, because I think it's important to give everybody an opportunity to hear from them. So we'll see.
Ultimately, you can't make anybody talk that doesn't want to talk. Not all of them enjoy these interviews, but to the extent that they do want to talk to us, we will. But it is tournament time. So check the YouTube community. I will be posting a link to our War Report Tournament Challenge. We're doing another bracket. So we did a bowl pick'em. We're going to do a tournament challenge. The winner will get a War Report merchandise bundle. So we're going to do it on ESPN. I'm going to drop the link and then the password. So you're going to have to go to the community to join. But we're all going to fill out brackets and let the chips fall where they may. But look out for that this afternoon. I will be dropping the link to that bracket challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun, just kind of tracking that and seeing. I think our girl Susan Scales won the Bowl Pick'em Challenge. She crushed everybody. It was not even close. Like, she literally won by like 4 or 5 games. So hope maybe the tournament, the bracket challenge, will be a little closer. Watch out for that.
Spicy asked, can we come on after the selections are made?
We'll see.
Maybe. We kind of already know how a lot of this is going to shake out, but we'll see.
JG might be going live. JG might be doing something after selection. Watch out for the brain drain. I text him and see if he's doing it.
Check with JG and see if he's doing something. If he's not, then I'm not doing anything. I might hop on and talk to y'all. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. We're not gonna say never. We're not gonna say no, but just keep an eye out. We'll see. Guys, in the meantime, we want to thank you for hanging out with us on a Sunday. Not much to discuss as far as Auburn in the SEC tournament, but you hung out, talk basketball with us, talk some spring football. So we appreciate that. Before you get out of here, if you haven't already, if you're watching on replay, share this video, use hashtag #GetYourWeight Be sure to hit the thumbs up on the video, guys. That does help us out with the engagement. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Other than that, guys, if it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're at The War Report. Please follow us there. Also, we're TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys, but we definitely will keep you posted on if we do go live. If not, we'll see you on Wednesday. But until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, War Eagle.
There you go.